Morning, everyone, and thank you for coming along to our webinar this morning, which is to learn about the business supports from Dublin City Local Enterprise Office. So we're joined today by Paul Berry. So Paul has over 25 years senior management experience across a number of sectors. So I'll allow Paul to introduce himself in just a moment. I'm joining from Accountant Online. So I'm the client services team manager, and my role here is to match the relevant services to the relevant needs of our clients. So I generally meet with our clients and prepare a proposal based on their individual needs, and then introduce them to an accountant. So reach out to me if you are still at pre-stage, just a very early stage, starting your business, or indeed if you're interested in an accountant. My contact details will be at the end of the webinar as well. I'll share them with you all. I'll hand over to Paul now. He's able to introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Berry. I'm currently working as a business advisor with the local enterprise office in Dublin City. My background comes from originally in the hospitality sector. I moved to Australia and then moved into work for a large digital company that would be HP now, and then came back to Ireland and set up a couple of businesses myself. The last business I had was I had it for 20 years. And I've recently, as I say, last year joined the local enterprise office. I've also gone back to education in the last probably decade as well, and completed an MBA and a BSc on top of that. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. If you have any questions, you can ask me later on.
That's really helpful, Paul. So you've very varied experience.
Yeah.
So you're in an excellent position. If you've run a business and owned a business for over 20 years, you're in an excellent position to be a business advisor and support people that are starting out in how to establish a long-standing business, which is great to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'll let you go ahead and share your slides while I'm just giving an overview for, I think we have a few more attendees in now. So just to give an overview of Accountant Online. So we're a large accounting practice. We provide support for company formation and company secretarial. And as well as that, we have a number of accounting team managers. We have a cloud services team that are responsible for outsourcing of bookkeeping and payroll and VAT. So we have a number of different streams across the business, and we're able to support startups and SMEs at various stages of their business, and also we allow businesses to grow with us. We have the services here and the team here that can scale with you as and when you grow, which is something we find unique about us. One thing to add as well is that we are a zero platinum practice. So we are very focused on efficiency and digitization of your accounting and your finances. So it's something that we can support you with if you're interested in digitizing your finances or moving away from a traditional software or traditional methods of bookkeeping and making it more efficient, more streamlined process. That's something we can help you with as well. So hopefully that's been helpful as an introduction to Accountant Online for any of you that this is your first time joining us on a webinar. And I'll hand over to you now, Paul, and you can begin your presentation.
Great. Just to let everyone know, I'm going to go through the presentation from the local enterprise office perspective, and it'll give you an overview. There's a number of them around the country. So in a lot of instances, if you do apply for any grant or funding, it would have to be in your local enterprise office. So the nearest one to where your business would be at. So let's just go through the slide deck at the moment, and then we'll have Q&A afterwards.
Great.
We're the first stop shop for anyone that's looking to start a business. A small to medium enterprise. We used to be 1 to 10, where we now look at the 10 to 50 as well area, particularly those that are looking to export or have potential to export. and we have a wide range of various products. I think we're up at about 30 different products at this point in time. But we'll go through that as we move through. We've 31 local enterprise offices in Ireland, one in every county. We have 3 in Dublin and 2 in Cork as well. So that would be wherever you're thinking of starting your business or you have your business, that would be the local enterprise office that you would go to. And they can be found online, as you can see here. Our role really is to help small to medium enterprises start, grow, expand, export. That's why we're here, to help you do that. So let's look at some of those supports. The types of supports we have: feasibility grants, priming grants, expansion grants, etc. And I'll go through a few of them as we go through the presentation. It's important to understand as well that there is eligibility criteria, and before you would even apply for any type of grant, you would need to look on our website and see, are you eligible for that particular grant? So let's look at one which is a really popular one. In 2021, the trading online voucher, when COVID came, a lot of people realized that they had nowhere to sell online. So our trading online voucher was offered to people, and it went from 1,200 in 1 year to 12,000 in 1 year. And so it was a really popular. What people realized was that they needed to get online quickly to sell their product or their service. And currently the TO grant is 50% funded, so it's euro for euro, as are a lot of our grants. So you would put up X amount, and we would put up the balance up to a particular point. It is mandatory to, if you want to apply for a trading online voucher, you have to go through an information session, and then you will get the link to that. You can have more than one trading online voucher as well. So if you got one from us last year and you wanted to upgrade your e-commerce website, then you could apply for a second one as well.
Oh, that's great to hear, Paul, that there's an option to go again. So, you know, because with technology, it's always ever changing. So it's not just a once off. Okay. That's good to hear.
You can apply and go through the process again. And, you know, it's a help when you're looking at an online website. These are feasibility grants through sort of designed to assist with researching the market demand for a particular product or a particular service. And you can see there what the sort of maximum feasibility is. It's normally, as I say, it's the 50%, and we will match up to a certain amount. So you can see there it's 15,000, whichever is the lesser. The average would be 10,000. That would be, as I say, given. But to look at, I can't stress enough, is that if you're looking at a feasibility grant for a particular prototype or a particular, you know, thing that you're doing with your business, is to look at the eligibility criteria before you go into it, so that you can look at the supports and see what supports that are available to you from your local enterprise office. These are the types of companies that we support, but not limited to them either. And I would just go through one of them here. Is a company that has sort of started with the Leo and has moved through the various grant and funding pieces and training pieces, and is now working with, you know, as a high performance startup with Enterprise Ireland. Hatched Analytics is the name of the company, and they specialize in producing alpha generating global data sets predicting company KPIs. So what they did, how they used the sort of Leo, was that they initially came in looking for a feasibility grant, which was awarded to them to get their business off the ground, and then they applied for an expansion grant, which they were also awarded. And you can see there from their comment as to how it helped them grow their business. And they're now working internationally. So normally what it is,
Fantastic.
yeah. So what we actually do is we start off. I think it's a good idea to start off with the Leo always, and then guide your way through and see where you go from there. So to look at what funding is available to you, and we are the first stop shop for any business that wants to start or grow. I think it's important that you have a conversation, or at least get onto the website and see what's available to you before you go anywhere else. Because we can also signpost you to various organizations as well. We also have a huge, I suppose, portfolio of training, which I actually look after myself. I look after all the training portfolio and the management development training as well. So the types of things that we do: start your own business, prepare your grant application. We have various search engine optimization programs and workshops. Typically, the workshops are 3 hours. And then we have some of the management development programs, which would be, they could be 5 workshops, or they could be a series of 10 different days, or they could be, you know, they range in their span. We also do, one of the recent ones we put together was website protection and GDPR compliance, based on our connection with the Small Firms Association, who did recognize, you know, hacking and all that type of thing. It's very prevalent now. And having conversations with the Gardaí as well, this was something that came out of that. To make sure that we offer a trading online voucher, which is to get an e-commerce site up and rolling. So what is it that we have afterwards to help people to protect their actual website as well, which I think is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we also understood, and I think from any of the people that are watching today, if you ever watch any of the programs on startup businesses or people looking for funding on TV, you'll see they're all very passionate about the project, but 9 times out of 10 where they fall is in that whole figures piece, in the whole accountancy piece, in understanding the finance of their business. And I was one of those myself. I got caught up in the passion and sort of forgot about the finance piece, but experience has told me that I needed to actually get to grips, or at least have an appreciation for where my finances were, my cash flow. I learned this, I was about 8-9 months into my own business, and my bank manager rang me and said, we won't be cashing any of your checks next week because you don't have enough coming in or coming into your account. So from that process, I got into a habit of completing a weekly bank reconciliation and cash flow, so that I knew what was happening. And that was the learning out of that piece. But if I'm to give you something today, I would say understand your finances, because if you don't have cash flow, you won't have a business. So that's why the whole accountancy piece for us is important. And in that, what we did, we put a fundamentals of business finance into our program. It's a management development course that consists of 4 workshops that takes you through all that you would need to know for your finance piece. We also have TikTok, LinkedIn business, Facebook, Instagram for business. So how you use those tools and those platforms to help your business. So these are short, as I say, three-hour workshops: tax and VAT, ROS. So there's a load of different ones, and each Leo in the country will have different training options. But feel free to use Dublin City. If you're not seeing one in one area, then hop on to Dublin City and see what we have available that might suit you. Our view is that all entrepreneurs are important in the ecosystem. We have business management development leadership programs as well. And this has been recognized in Europe and in a lot of research that has happened. over the last sort of 10 years that Ireland is a little bit low on the whole business management and development piece in comparison to our counterparts in Europe or internationally. So it is something that we've looked at, and we have currently running a Leadership for Growth program that we share with Fingal, and we have 10 people on that from Dublin City, and they have 10 people on it. And it's a 10 module piece, meeting first day, middle day, and last day, and then the rest is online. But it's quite an intensive 12-week, 10 or 12-week program. We also have a shorter management development for SMEs, which is a 5 workshop, and I'm working currently on what I call 1360 program, which is a program based on sort of the needs of an entrepreneur at a particular point in time. And it is around taking that entrepreneur and wrapping both the training portfolio around them, plus a mentoring facility as well. And that's in process. We're about to pilot that. And we also have a marketing and social media program as well. So important to get online and have a look for these so that you're up to speed and you know what's available to you. All of our courses are heavily subsidized. So typically a 3-hour workshop is €20, and that's the admin fee. So it's non-refundable, but you know, that's what we're here to offer as well. And they're highly subsidized. So I would say use them completely. These are some of the programs that we use, so that we have available also. Green for Micro, Lean for Micro, Digital Start, typically for companies that are already up and rolling. So it's to look at your whole green for Micro credentials, which is huge at the moment. And Lean, as we know, Lean is important because it can actually save you a lot of money as well. So I think currently, you know, a lot of people already have the digital piece, but Digital Start may be of relevance to them as well. But the up and coming, I think, are the sort of Lean and Green for Micro, so that people are looking how they can be greener, but also be lean at the same time. So I think they're two very important initiatives that we have. And you can go online, as I say, and just check them out as you're moving along. There you'll see it there. And these slides can be shared afterwards anyway. There's no point, there's no problem with that. We have a mentoring facility that we provide to individuals and companies. And literally it is, you go online, you go onto the site as it says there, and you apply. Now there are 27 questions that we ask you. And the reason we ask you those questions is what we try to do is look at what your business is, look at what your business idea is, look at the problem you're trying to solve. And what we try and do is match you to the correct mentor. We have a panel of about 40 mentors here in Dublin City. And all the LEOs around the country would also have panels of mentors that they would access as well. So there, as I say, I think it's €10 for 3 hours mentoring, which is fairly substantial to get somebody's time. Absolutely. An expert. And these are all experts in the field, in the various fields that they work, and you can work with them for 3 hours or 6 hours or whatever that is. But I think it's important, if you are going to a mentoring session, is to have as much work done as possible before you get there, so that you can actually take advantage of the guidance that the mentor will be giving you. They won't do the work for you, but they will certainly give you guidance. So if you have your work done before that session, you will get an awful lot more out of it. There's no question about that.
Yeah, for sure, Paul. We would, even from a finance point of view, you know, we would speak to business owners and startups every day. And there's a sense of, you know, when you ask them about their turnover, let's say, they don't know their numbers. And and that's not the case with all, I'm just saying with some. But as you mentioned earlier in your financial supports and how important accounting is, it's absolutely integral to know your business. No one is going to come in and mentor you and coach you without you first of all being able to answer all of those questions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's getting comfortable with establishing what your numbers are going to be, and then also, what your market is, how you segment that out, all of those aspects. And it's really about looking at each aspect of that and how you're going to attract your clients using sales and marketing. It's so to have a mentor, as you say,
Yeah.
is excellent, but you have to know your business first, right? You've a
Yeah.
lot of work to do there to get to know your business and your market and your model
Yeah.
before you can have a mentor actually guide you in anything.
Yeah. And I think that's why, as I said, there's 27 questions to answer in the application for a
Right.
mentor, and it is around all of the information about your business and where it's at.
Yes.
So it's sort of, I suppose, asking you to do that work before you apply for it, which I think is important.
Yeah.
Because these people, a lot of our mentors have been in business for a long number of years, some of them still in business, and they have phenomenal expertise.
Of course.
So it's to try and, I suppose, use that expertise to your best advantage, and for it to help your business to grow, really, or to start.
Yeah.
So let's look on here now. Where are we going? So
I
we
love
also,
that quote about mentoring then as
yeah,
well, yeah. It really hammers home what you get with a mentor.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sorry, going ahead.
This is some of the food offerings that we would have. So we're
Okay.
connected into the Digital School of Food, the Food Academy program, which was developed by Board BIA and SuperValue in 2013. And then we have the Food Starter program. So if anyone's looking at a food manufacturing type program or that type of area, then I would certainly go in here and have a look at these offerings and see if any of them fit your criteria. We also have Microfinance Ireland, are an organisation in Ireland that give out loans. They tend to be less risk averse than the banks, and if you're a client of the Leo, you will get a preferential rate of 4.5%. They have loans from 5 to 25,000. So it's always good to come through the Leo to actually apply for one of those, because at least you're getting 1% lower interest rate.
And Paul, just to go back to microfinance, would you recommend, I suppose, doing that as a startup before you've gone through any of the programs or anything? A lot of people are trying to bootstrap, but maybe a lot of people have great business ideas but don't have the finances behind them, and this would be their only entry. And would you say before you do that to go and do some of the courses with Leo, get some of that mentoring in place, or do you have to have the established business in place in order to have all of that mentoring? Just trying to get a sense of at what stage you can get access to the Leo supports, and then at what stage you'd have to go for the financing.
What I would recommend is, if you're thinking of starting a business, and I know there's a lot of people on here today that both have businesses and that are looking at starting businesses, the first point really is to go to your business advice clinic, which we hold them every week nearly online. And the business advice clinic will tell you, it's quite an intense workshop of a few hours that will tell you everything you need to know about, do you need to be a sole trader? Do you need to set up a company? It will signpost you to revenue. It goes through an awful lot of things that you will need to know for setting a business up in Ireland. My advice would always be, if you're feeling a little shaky, I suppose, about setting a business up, is to just go. The business advice clinics are free. You just go on and you see, it gives you that little bit more confidence to move forward. And then I would say, if you are lacking a little bit in experience, we have a Start Your Own Business course, which is a 5-week, twice a week program that will really take you through how to start a business up in Ireland. So it's quite intense, but I would certainly recommend that. I have a few friends that have actually in the past that have completed the Start Your Own Business course, and they found it phenomenal. And I have a friend of mine actually starting tonight doing it somewhere else around the country. So I think they're really important because they will give you that confidence and give you the signposting and the various other things that you'll need to start your business in Ireland. And that's what we provide. It's a 5-week. As I think there's one that runs in the evenings and one that runs during the day. So just pick whichever is suitable to you.
Okay.
And that would be my advice before you go anywhere, because, you know, you need something, I suppose, before you go to a mentor. In a way, you need to know what your idea is, and through the Start Your Own Business course, you'll actually look at the lean model canvas, and you'll look at the sort of writing a business plan as well. And you know, so we've also pulled out those workshops in lean model canvas and write your own business plan as individual workshops as well. So have a look at the Start Your Own Business course, because it will give you the content of what's in there, and that could help you to move forward as well.
Okay. That's really helpful, Paul. Thank you for that.
Also, networking and events. We have a lot of, we're connected in hugely into the ecosystem in Dublin. And again, that's one of my roles here at the local enterprise office in Dublin City as well, is to link in with the various organizations. We have So Circular running here from the Dublin City Council, and that's around circular businesses. And that's something new that we kicked off last year. I'm very connected in with TU Dublin. And this year, for the first time, we ran a pitch perfect competition, so that we had 42 applicants, and they were whittled down to 6 who pitched their ideas to a judging panel and to 400 people up in TU and Grange Corman for a prize fund of €5,000, and then from the local enterprise office, and also 6 months of a hub space in any one of the DITs, Blanchardstown, Tala, or Grange Gorman. So we're involved very much in that as well. The likes of, say, the Docklands Business Forum, we're very much involved with them as well, and we're very much out and about in the ecosystem with various organizations. So we can signpost people in that area. That's really go ahead there, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, Paul, particularly when you're starting a business, it can be a very lonely time, right? You know, particularly if you're starting a business from home, or, you know, at a kitchen table where most businesses start. You know, it can be a very lonely time, and we would always encourage networking and events. And now that they're back up and running, in-person events, it's fantastic to see as well. And even, you know, some of the remote events can be excellent for linking in and sharing ideas, but certainly in-person events really do help you to sort of hear what other people's pressure points and stresses are when starting a business, and the guidance and advice as well, just from grabbing a coffee with someone at one of these events or after an event. And also, it's so inspiring, you know, when you go to one of those events, you come back really energized, don't you?
You do. I think it's important to look at the actual event itself to see that it's, you know, relevant to where you want to go yourself. But it is, and I found it as well. I was in an initial business, I had a partner, so it was a little bit easier because you had another shoulder to help you. But the last business I had, I was sole, so a sole trader in effect. And it can, even when you have staff, it can be a lonely place to be. And it's great to have these supports or these networks that you can bounce ideas off, you can have a conversation with. With that, we actually have a women in business network here at Dublin City, and they have them around the country as well. But we're also working on currently looking at a brand new sort of networking, a Leo networking club, if you want to call it that. A lot of our management development people will be invited to join, and various other members or businesses that are clients of Leo will be asked to join as well. That's in the pipeline. It probably won't happen till the far end of this year. But we did run an awful lot of networking events during Local Enterprise Week, which was early March. So if you happen to be in in Ireland during the first week in March. Normally it's around the 6th or 7th to the 11th. Then have a look at National Local Enterprise Week, because it happens all around the country in all the LEOs. And there will be a lot of events happening that you could attend, or, you know, bounce off people as well during that. So that's my sort of, I suppose, presentation finished.
Great. Okay.
If we want to move to Q&A.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for giving that overview. There's a lot of information there, and I've included some of the links as you were sort of including in your slides, where people can click the links through from the chat. Great. To visit any of the pages on the website. So in particular, the mentoring business advice, the Dublin City training and events pages. So we have someone that's raised their hand there, so we'll allow them to ask their question live. One moment. So Lewis, you're very welcome if you'd like to ask your question. Lewis, can you, you may have to allow, I think you're on mute there. Oh yeah, we can hear you now. Great.
All right. Actually, I appreciate that for your analysis. I just want to go back what you said. You said, is it more advisable?
I can't. Sorry, Lewis. I'm sorry. We can't make out what you're saying. Sorry. It's just really poor sound. I'm not sure if you're using a headset. What, sorry?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello?
It's very, very poor. It may be better if you just type your question into the Q&A, and I'll put it to Paul there. Is that okay? Sorry about that.
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you. If anyone else would like to
just while we're waiting there for anybody, if there are people in different countries, and I can see there are people in the US.
Yes.
I recently presented this presentation to a number of people who are part of a Back for Business network that's run by the Department of Foreign Affairs. So if there's people outside Ireland that are that are Irish and coming back to Ireland to set up a business, that's a very good network for people to actually join. And there's a huge number of supports that they have in place for that. So just to make sure you connect in there.
Okay, great. Thank you for that as well, Paul. Yes. We have been asked, is the webinar recorded, and will they receive the slides? So yes, a copy of the recording will be sent to all registered attendees, so you'll be able to watch the webinar back, certainly. Elaine has asked, can you get a mentor from any location, not just your area? So that may be if she's targeting clients in a specific area.
Yeah, normally you would have to get a mentor within your own area, your local enterprise office. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Lewis has said, is it advisable to engage in the business course for 5 weeks? And yes, we would say, particularly for startups, Paul, that, as you say, that 5-week course is excellent for people that are starting with a business idea.
What I would do first, however, is I would do the business advice clinic first.
Okay.
That would always be my starting point, because in that business advice clinic, you have mentors that are delivering that will actually, if you want to discuss your idea, there is an interactive part to that actual presentation online that you can actually, now some people don't want to discuss their idea in public, but other people might want to say, you know, here's my sort of idea, what do you think? And then I would sort of have a conversation with the mentor, just with the person that's delivering the business advice clinic. Do you think I should do the Start Your Own Business course?
Yeah.
So it's to look at your options first, try and see what it is you think you need. If you're new to business or new to starting a business, my first point of call would be the Business Advice Clinic, and then on to a Start Your Own Business course.
Okay, great. Paul, do you have the web link to? Joan has asked, what is the program for those returning to Ireland?
It is just, if you just Google, I don't have the link at the moment, but it's a back for Business network, and it is supported by the Department of Foreign Affairs. Now I can look it up and forward it on to Christina later on.
That's okay. Perfect.
And I will get the link for you.
I have it here now, so we'll share. It's
Right,
backforbusiness.com. Yeah,
okay.
so I'll share it here now. So that's shared in the chat there. Thank you, Joan. Okay, so Ronan has asked, what are your opinions about the future of retail? Must we accept an Amazonified ecosystem and less vitality in our town centres? So that's opening a big discussion point there, Ronan. And I'm not sure how relevant our just two opinions would be. Paul, what are your thoughts on that question?
I think just I have done a lot of research in the past 10 years as well. And in a lot of education that I've done too, we were at the sort of bricks and clicks, as they say, prior to COVID. COVID I think has changed that a little bit, has sort of hastened on the clicks. So it's very hard to tell where retail is going to go on the street level, at a street level from now. I think we're very much in a transition, but this is my own personal opinion. And I think with retail, I think we are going to have to create something experiential, because that's where I come from. The business I had for 20 years initially was workshop and turned into a retail space. But I think if you're doing retail now, you have to create an experience for your customer. And that's, as I say, I don't know where it's going. We just have to keep a very close eye on that space. But as they say in the UK on that program, location is very important for footfall. But there's a lot of other things that retail is affected by. So, you know, there is also Dublin City Council, and in Europe, they're talking about the 15-minute city, which is interesting. And that's sort of a conversation that's starting now, so that everything that you need will be within a 15-minute walk of your home. So that's sort of the future they're looking at now.
Okay, wow. Yeah. That's very interesting. Certainly from rural Donegal, that's not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a difficult question.
It is indeed. Yes, Ronan. But thank you for posing that question. And I would mirror your feedback there, Paul, that for retail to be successful now, I think it does have to be experiential. As a consumer. That would certainly be how I would feel. That you have to enjoy the experience in order to return or engage, you know. Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you for that, Ronan. So we have a lot of questions that have come in, and please do pose any additional questions that you have. So Maddie has asked, is it possible to apply for funds such as grants and loans if you have zero assets?
I don't see the issue with zero assets. Mean a lot of our grants and funding are dependent on you having funds as well. So as I said earlier, it's important to go into the eligibility criteria and see what it is you will need to apply for this particular grant or this particular fund. But also don't forget that MFI, the Microfinance Ireland, is also there to give. You know, I heard a presentation at the Back for Business from one of the microfinance people, and they do tend to they take a much higher risk than any of the banks would.
Okay.
So they're very good in that regard if you're looking for some money at a relatively reasonable rate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Paul. I have someone here that is saying, I plan to start a business as a safety instructor, such as manual handling, fire safety, etc. Are there grants available for starting such a business?
It would depend on the grant that you're looking for and the proposal that you put forward. I would certainly advise you to look at if you plan to start the business, look at the business advice clinic and look at starting your own business. And then they will sort of, in those two programs, particularly the start your own business one, they'll develop out your idea a little bit more and look at how you differ from what's already out there.
Yes.
How can you be different? So what's your value proposition in a way?
Yeah. Yes. What makes you unique? And
yeah,
that's it. And as you say, it really comes back to those initial clinics and the initial starting your business course that really sort of spearheads you for that support in setting out what your business plan is, what your target market is, so that then you can understand what supports would be available to you. Yes.
If I could give a bit of advice, is
Sure.
none of these supports were around when I set up my business. And I would really recommend that people take advantage of, before they jump into setting up an actual business, to give yourself that time to do the business advice clinic and give yourself that 5 weeks to do the start your own business course, because it will set you up to help you move that idea forward. Instead of you on your own doing this, you'll see the supports that are available. So if there was one piece of advice I'd give anybody, is to use these opportunities and these programs to get your business up and rolling, but don't rush into things. Take it step by step. So the slower you go at it, the more information, the more knowledge you have, the more successful you can be.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. It's, it's just putting a little bit of planning into it, Paul, will obviously just add to your success chances. So whereas it's easy now to purchase a company formation service online without actually understanding what you're getting yourself into. And as you say, that clinic helps you establish whether or not it's appropriate for you to set up a limited company or to just become a sole trader initially.
Or do you need to? For my first business, I was a sole trader for the first 4 or 5 years. And then it was, in discussion with my accountant, we decided it's probably now time to turn this into a company, because the revenue had got to a certain level. There was a certain number of staff that were being employed and more were going to be employed. So, it was the right time to do it. So it's totally dependent on the business you're looking to set up. But a lot of businesses in Ireland would start with one person. And that's why I think sometimes there's no need to rush into being a company straight away. But you need to look at the benefits and a company, there's the limited liability piece that's important as well. But through doing the business advice clinic and start your own business course, you will be signposted to all that information, and to the company registrations office and to revenue and all those places where you can gain more information and then make a decision on what is best for you at this particular point in time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that, Paul. Okay, Taryn has asked, can you please advise if the feasibility grant is only available for manufacturing? I'm working on a payments fintech startup and want to do research of the market to understand the customer need further and understand the segment further for the payment product. Please advise if I can apply for the feasibility grant.
I would say go to wherever you're based. I would say go to your local enterprise office. But first of all, go to the website and have a look at the feasibility grant. If it's a fintech startup, then I don't see why it wouldn't be considered unless there's other eligibility that you're not meeting. because we very much do support tech in you know, it's a big part of our portfolio here, and in all the LEOs.
Great. Okay. So when it says about, you know, if it's to create a prototype, that could sometimes be like a software prototype, or it's not necessarily just manufacturing at all. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if you look at in the presentation there, look at Hatched Analytics.
Exactly.
They're not manufacturing. They created something that is, you know, a piece of software that is doing tremendous work for them. So and they did get a feasibility grant. So from that perspective is to look into that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Paul. And Shane has asked, can I approach microfinance if I've been successfully scaling a business as a service provider? I'm in year 4.
I would see, you know, from the presentation that was given by MFI to me only a few weeks ago, that they really are there. They're a government sort of supported organization that really does help people to get finance when they can get it, when they can't get it anywhere else. So I don't see why they wouldn't consider your application. And they also, I understand, if you apply to them, go through your Leo, please, because you'll get that lower percentage.
Yes.
But also they're very quick to come back and tell you whether you have met the criteria or not. But they would be a far better option from a risk perspective than, you know, than a bank, because the banks tend to be quite risk averse.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Paul. One final question has come in. Are there open applications for becoming a Leo mentor? So,
well, the way it works, because we're a state organization, all the councils, every so often we have a e-tender. So all our mentors would be on would have to tender for the business. So you go through the e-tender processes, and there is one coming up later this year actually for Dublin City, but that would be in different counties. It will be different. So if you were a mentor, you could be a mentor anywhere. So I know there are several mentors that we have that would mentor, say, for Dún Laoghaire, and mentor maybe for Westmeath, or mentor for Cork. We've one particular person that does mentor for Cork and for us at the same time. But it is all about the tendering process. So you need to keep an eye on e-tenders for when the tender comes up. And then from that tender, a panel is put together in each of the LEOs. Yeah, that's how it works.
Great.
Yeah. So it's all about transparency and accountability with regard to that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Paul. And some other questions have come in, sorry, that I just saw in the chat. How can I engage with the Business Advice Clinic? Do you have to contact my DSP? So, but as far as I've understood, Paul, they just have to go to their local enterprise office. And
if you want to do a business advice clinic, just go online. If you can't find one in your, go online to www.localenterprise.ie / for us, it will be Dublin City. For others, it will be different, but you can find that there. The business advice clinic is free. All you have to do, you don't have to talk to anyone, you just go and register for the next one. If you don't find one in your own county, then come to Dublin City and have a look at ours and register for that one. We have one every week, but they run all the time because they're so important, but they also fill up very quickly too, as do the Start Your Own Business courses. But we would run close on, I think, about 15 Start Your Own Business courses in the year. So, and then the business advice clinics will be every week.
Yeah, so it's hugely popular, as you can appreciate. I've included the generic link for the local enterprise website there, as well as the Start Your Own Business program, because I can see that Maddie has asked, how can we enroll in the business advice clinic? So both of those links are there. So yes, hopefully that's been helpful to everyone that's attended. Thank you so much for all of your questions. If there are any other questions, please just submit them to the Q&A just now. Ronan has come back and said, essentially he's asking, can you choose what mentor you get? Because he's saying some mentors need the gig, others really care. You know, how can you tell the difference, and do you have the option, or does Leo choose the appropriate mentor for you?
What happens is, based on the questionnaire, the 27 questions that you answer, the mentor manager here and in all the other Leos will decide who is best suited to your need based on what you put into your how you answered that that application. So no, it's not about choosing the mentor. It's the mentor here would choose from the panel that we currently have, and it would be a matching exercise. So our mentor manager here is an expert in looking at that application and matching you to what the need is.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for that, Paul. That's been very explanatory, and thank you so much for all of your patience in answering everyone's questions and sharing your insight and your experience from throughout your career. It's been really helpful. So thank you to all of our attendees for all of your questions and engagement. It's been really great to hear about your business ideas and hopefully give you some direction there. I wish you all the best of luck with the Business Advice Clinic. We also at Accountant Online run a startup webinar each month, so you can register on our website under the webinars. We have that running each month where we discuss it's a Q&A with a live chartered accountant that you can discuss the difference between limited company or a sole trader as well. So there's a lot of different webinars and resources out there for making that decision a little bit easier. So even if in the interim you want to register to attend that, I'd highly recommend it. And you can also schedule a discovery call with a member of the client services team at Accountant Online if you ever want to discuss your business idea and what sort of an idea of costs for managing your finances or the investment that you'll need initially for starting. So hopefully that's helpful.